next solubility would be solubility in HCl. Since none of them dissolved in water, I have to test every one of them in HCl. I'm going to make the HCl solution colorful this time. This is the 5% HCl. I'm going to make it colorful so you could see better in the test tube if it dissolves or it doesn't dissolve. Actually, green color, as long as it works. Okay. Again, 3 milliliters of HCl in every test tube. Test tube 1. 2. 3. So I'm just using the approximation of how much is going to be. It was the level of the water, trying to keep the ratio the same, so they are all same, almost same level of the HCl solution. So we add 3 to 4 drops of the unknown liquid and tip of a spatula of the unknown solid. So we have our unknown 1. See if it dissolves or not. This is unknown 1 in HCl. See the second layer? Is it clear to the video? I mean, it's not mixing, or it does mix and it does separate. For video purposes, I'm going to add additional drops. Normally, you don't need to. You just should use like 3 drops of the unknown, 3 milliliters of the solvent. But I could see here that it doesn't dissolve. For you to see it better from the camera, I'm going to add additional drops of the unknown 1 to thicken the layer of the unknown so you could see it better. Okay, so this is the unknown 1 with HCl, and that did not dissolve. Unknown 2 with HCl, just going to add 3 drops of the unknown 2 with the HCl and mix it. Okay, I have only 1 layer here. There is no second layer. So unknown 2 actually dissolved in HCl. So that's a positive test. It's funny that the color also changed because we have the unknown was almost yellow color. So with the green, it changed to blue color. Color changed. So 2 dissolved. Unknown 3. We are going to use a tip of a spatula of the unknown. Tip of a spatula of the unknown 3 in H. Mix it. Okay. It's not dissolving. I hope you could see that. It's not dissolving. Sure. Okay. So that's the white color of the unknown 3. Unknown 4. Do 3 drops first. We are going to, initially it's not dissolving. See, I'm mixing it for 10 seconds and wait. Okay, after mixing and waiting, the second layer formed. So this compound is not soluble, HCl either. So fast also, maybe it helps. Okay, so you see the second layer. So unknown 4 in HCl did not dissolve. Unknown 5. Unknown 5 is solid, so it should disappear if it dissolves, and if it doesn't dissolve, it doesn't dissolve. So we just add about tip of a spatula, few crystals of unknown 5. It did not dissolve, so we have solid. Mix it for about 10 seconds and wait. And the white crystals are there, did not dissolve. That's for 5. And 6, we add 3 drops of unknown 6. As I'm adding the drop, I could see that is not going in. So I mix it well, about 10 seconds, and wait. Second layer is forming, and let me add more. So to make it better visible for you. And I'm going to use again a bright background for you to see it better. This is the unknown 6 in HCl. It did not dissolve. I increased the level. Normally, I don't use this much of the unknown. I just use 3 drops, but I increased the level for you to see it better. So out of all, only unknown 2 dissolved in HCl. Since unknown 2 dissolved in HCl, for my next test in sodium hydroxide, I'm not going to test the unknown 2. I would only test the other 5. Solubility in sodium hydroxide, we had already positive test for solubility in HCl for unknown number 2. That's why unknown number 2 is missing from this test. And I just want to mention again that in the lab, when you are working in the lab, you don't have to add food coloring to your solvent. I only do this because I want better video, so it's more visible through the camera. So I'm using 10% sodium hydroxide. I don't want to add food coloring to this container, so I'm just adding some to beaker and adding a drop of the food coloring. I have a blue solution now. I'm adding 3 milliliters. 3 milliliters using the approximate from the other experiment. About 3 milliliters to each tester. And 4, 5, and 6. Okay, we will add 3 drops of the unknown 1 to test tube 1. It's not mixing. It is not very clear to see. So I'm going to add extra drops for you to be able to see the layer that is formed. The color was kind of strong. If we change the food coloring. Okay, now you have a second layer, unknown 1 with sodium hydroxide. See, the top layer is clear, the bottom layer is color. Unknown 3, which is the tip of a spatula of, I did mix for like 10 seconds. I'm gonna mix it again, just leave it alone. The second layer forms, so you can see that it doesn't matter how long I mix it, the second layer is forming. That's unknown 1. Unknown 2, we skip. Unknown 3, we add tip of a spatula. Now you want to make sure that your spatula is labeled as well for the unknown, so you don't contaminate your compounds. And get to the habit of closing the container as soon as you use. Mix it well for about 10 seconds. It already dissolves, so I don't have to mix it. Solid compound. Maybe I could have used just no color for this one. So I have the solid disappeared. I'm going to repeat this in a test tube with clear solution of sodium hydroxide as well. Because in the blue background, you may not see that solid disappeared. Going to add some there. This is unknown 3 with sodium hydroxide. I add about tip of a spatula and it did dissolve in sodium hydroxide. Repeating of the same experiment with the sodium hydroxide, there is no solid left. So 3 dissolved in sodium hydroxide. That's done. 4 formed like oily layer, and even you mix it well for 10 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds, it doesn't hurt, or if it doesn't dissolve, it doesn't dissolve by mixing. You see the 2 layers, it didn't dissolve. So 4 did not dissolve in sodium hydroxide. 5 is solid. If the solid is visible, don't have to repeat it. If not, I will repeat with the clear solution again. Kind of see this solid left, so it's not soluble. Yeah, if it stays, you could see it. If it disappears, it's kind of hard. So it didn't dissolve, not soluble in sodium hydroxide. That's for 5. 6. Formed a second layer, did not dissolve. By mixing, it doesn't dissolve, and a second layer forms right after. Right? Second layer keeps forming. Okay. This is unknown 6 with the sodium hydroxide. It did not dissolve, and it formed a second layer. Okay, this part of the experiment is solubility in sodium bicarbonate. Which unknown should we test with sodium bicarbonate, solubility in sodium bicarbonate? See, from the last part of the experiment, unknown 3 was the only one that dissolved in sodium hydroxide. If the compound does not dissolve in sodium hydroxide, we should not, and we do not have to test solubility in sodium bicarbonate. If the compound dissolves in sodium bicarbonate and sodium hydroxide, that means your unknown could be carboxylic acid. If the compound dissolves in sodium hydroxide, but it doesn't dissolve in sodium bicarbonate, that compound would be, it could be phenol or some other nitrile compounds. In order to find out if the compound is carboxylic acid or if it's phenol, we have to test the solubility in sodium bicarbonate. So we are going to add the sodium bicarbonate, about 3 milliliters of sodium bicarbonate, approximately same level as before, and add tip of a spatula of the unknown 3 to sodium bicarbonate solution. Sodium hydroxide is a strong base. Sodium bicarbonate is a weak base. So this reaction is slower and it may not disappear right away, but I want to show you the bubbles that form. So pay attention to those bubbles that are forming. Carboxylic acid with sodium bicarbonate is going to react, and bubbles are forming because one of the product is a carbonic acid. Carbonic acid is not stable, and it will decompose to generate water plus CO2. So those formation of the bubbles is indication of this chemical reaction, even if the solid does not disappear right away. If you leave it alone, you leave it in the test tube holder for a few minutes, it will disappear. But just the fact that the bubbles are forming without me, like at the beginning, without shaking, the bubbles were forming at the top of the liquid, that means the chemical reaction is taking place and the bubbles or gas is forming. So unknown 3 dissolved in sodium hydroxide, and it also dissolved in sodium bicarbonate. For unknown 4.